Hello food fans, going to have some good food here today for lunch. Going to have some burgers. What kind of burgers? These are chuck, ground chuck, 1/3 of a pound. That's bigger than a quarter pounder. 1/3 of a pound burgers. Just going to have one burger, and I'm also going to have a little bit of coleslaw. I'm also going to have a little bit of potato salad, and I will be having my burgers on regular bread, more or less regular bread, multi-grain bread, and I'll also have something that I cook all by myself, and that is this potato, not the entire potato, but part of it. So we're going to have some good food here for lunch, and since it's so hot today, I don't want to eat too much, so one big burger with all kinds of stuff thrown in there to make it even taste better. So let's get started. And I let the hamburger, the ground chuck, and the onions and potatoes all mix their flavors together very well, and it's going to be well done when it finishes cooking here on the stove. And we can use that to make one mighty fine tasting hamburger with multi-grain bread. And it all looks good. Give yourself some bread here. And first I'll have a little bit of coleslaw before I eat the main course. I like to make coleslaw every day. Hope everything's going well for you. It's very hot here, and by very hot I mean mid-90s. I know it can get hotter, and it has been hotter than that here, but still it feels very, very warm. Probably about 95 or 96 today. And do be careful. There's various heat-related physical conditions that you don't want to get into. Some can be very, very, very dangerous. I'll talk to you a little bit about downtown Los Angeles and show business. Downtown Los Angeles. I lived there for 4 years, 1956 to 1960. Get some bread here. And I saw some shows in downtown Los Angeles. The shows that I went to, the theater building, the Orpheum Theater, I think that's still there on Broadway, but I don't think they show movies anymore. But the best stage show I guess I ever saw was the Everly Brothers at the Orpheum Theater, playing their guitars and singing. They just had their first 2 hit records when I saw them, and they definitely sound and they definitely sounded even better in person than on their records. They were quite talented musically. I also saw the Coasters in downtown Los Angeles. And on the show with the Coasters was Bobby Rydell and Dorsey Burnett. I have a potato. The ground chuck has lots of fat and therefore lots of grease and flavor. I have a friendly fly here today. if you ever go to Los Angeles, if you're not living there, I highly recommend taking a walking tour of downtown Los Angeles. Get some of the onions. And see the Bradbury Building, see the $1 Million Theater, which is also known as the $1 Million Building. $1 million used to be considered a lot of money to put up a 14-story tall, what was then a skyscraper. Over here, pardon my reach, excuse my reach. Let me move, oops, handle, do it like this. This is a heavy skillet, and some more tomato slices on there. Anyway, the downtown Los Angeles has lots of buildings which you will see in movies, like if you ever watch the movie DOA, which means Dead on Arrival, but DOA. They did a lot of filming inside the Bradbury Building. And when you see the Bradbury Building, see the interior, ground floor, looking up at the see-through ceiling, you'll say, I saw this before. Put this like this. Take a bite of the ground chuck burger. I wonder if anyone is named Chuck Burger. If you're in downtown Los Angeles and you're on Los Angeles Street, going from east to west, if you walk down 4th or 5th Street, and you begin at Los Angeles, the way to remember the street names, in Los Angeles, from Maine, we spring to Broadway, and it's just over the hill to Olive. Wouldn't it be grand if we could hope to pick flowers on Figueroa? I'll go over that again for you. I heard that probably about 1957. Starting with Los Angeles Street, in Los Angeles from Maine. Maine is the first street you come to when you're walking from Los Angeles Street and you're walking on a street like 4th or 5th. and you're going toward the west. First street is Los Angeles. Next is Maine. Then Spring. Spring used to be the financial district of Los Angeles. I also lived on Spring Street for over a year. I lived at 416 South Spring, and it is now Lofts, L-O-F-T-S. Let me eat a little bit here. In Los Angeles, from Maine, we spring to Broadway. Broadway used to be the downtown area where all the newly released movies were showing in spectacular, like palaces. The Paramount Theater was beautiful. Los Angeles Theater was beautiful. Same could be said about the Orpheum. No shortage of live shows back in those days. So again, in Los Angeles, from Maine, 5th and Main right now, and even back in the late 1950s, 5th and Main would be considered. Excuse this, I'll put this back up here. 5th and Main was considered to be the heart of Los Angeles Skid Row. Today, Skid Row covers many acres there. It used to be possible to walk through Skid Row without seeing anyone laying on the sidewalk. I'll get a potato. So again, in Los Angeles, from Maine, Spring to Broadway, then it's just over the hill to Olive. Fried potatoes are good. Hill Street, I'm pretty sure borders on Pershing Square. Pershing Square is a park that covers an entire city block in downtown Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, from Maine you spring to Broadway, then it's just over the hill to Olive. Wouldn't it be grand if we could hope to pick flowers on Figueroa? They used to have a Faith, Hope, and Charity Street, but no one wanted to live on Faith, and no one wanted to live on Charity, so they changed the names of the streets. Hope is still there. People want to live on hope. I lived on hope for a while. I think Figueroa got its name from someone who was mayor at one time. I'm not really certain about that. If you go to 7th and Hope, that's where I was standing one time watching, along with millions of other people, watching as President Eisenhower rode by in a stand-up limousine, and he was smiling and waving to everyone in the crowd. Ground chuck is good. It's expensive now. I don't know how much this cost, but I would be pretty close to being accurate if I said I think it costs more now than it did then. For a while, I lived near 7th and Hope, and if I had gone south about 1 mile, I would have come to the intersection of Olympic and Hope. When I first arrived in Los Angeles, 1956, Olympic and Hope was the location for if you wanted to buy a brand new Packard. They still were making brand new Packards. And Earl C. Anthony was the dealer who sold Packard automobiles. He started selling Packards in 1903, and he was still selling Packards in 1956, 57. He used to have a cafeteria called Clifton's Cafeteria. It had a waterfall in the front of the building. If you were planning on walking into the building, you had to walk past the waterfall. And if you couldn't afford to pay, it was free. Earl C. Anthony, who had the Packard dealership on Hope Street, also owned a mansion in Los Feliz. I worked at his mansion 3 different times when I was a movie extra. I worked with Tom Hanks on The Man with One Red Shoe. I had previously worked with Tom Hanks on Family Ties. He played the part of Michael J. Fox's cousin or uncle. And I worked with Tom Hanks on the movie Dragnet 87. My car, the yellow Blur, the 1969 Rambler, was also in Dragnet 87. get some root beer. And this is the root beer, the 2 liter. That is selling for $1 per bottle at Walmart. Hill Street in Los Angeles was where I used to catch the bus. Right near 7th and Hill, I'd catch a bus to go to Hollywood to watch the free TV shows. There were shows like the Eddie Fisher Show, the Dinah Shore Show, Nat King Cole Show, Tennessee Ernie Ford Show. They were all musical programs that were fun to go watch. It was totally free. One of the things they never did have in downtown Los Angeles that I know of, a gas station. So if you're driving to Los Angeles, or probably any really big city, you might plan on getting gas before you drive to your destination, or carry a can of gasoline in your trunk or something. But do be careful. There have been many times I was glad that I had a 1-gallon container of gasoline in my car. This hamburger is thick, it's good. In addition to working with Tom Hanks at Earl C. Anthony, the location, his old mansion, I worked a Pontiac commercial there once. And I worked with Rock Hudson. Had some nice conversation with him. He did a show called, or a movie called The Star Maker, I think is what it was called. Other things to see in Los Angeles if you visit, go to Griffith Park. Griffith Park has the Autry Museum, Cowboy Museum. You'll be glad you saw it if you go to see it. I don't know how much Los Angeles has deteriorated over the years. But it has a wonderful history. When I lived at 416 South Spring, the El Dorado Hotel, it cost $45 a month, $1.50 a day, $10.50 a week to live there. Nice big room with a bath, nice lobby area,
a place to do typing. They had typewriters you could rent. They didn't have computers then. I think it was the Cecil, C-E-C-I-L, Cecil Hotel had rooms for, seems to me it was 50 cents a night. They used to have a donut, fast food place, but all they had was donuts and coffee. And I would go to this place called Cooper's Donuts. They were either on Hill Street or Olive. I think they were on Hill Street. I'd get a donut and a cup of coffee. It cost 10 cents. I could take half a dozen donuts home for 25 cents. They're really good donuts. And interesting people would come in and start conversations. Cooper's Donuts had a clientele of people who were show business oriented or into politics. Someone might be having a loud conversation about political candidates or whatever. Time now for
And yes, it is time for the secret dessert. The secret dessert is cake. And not just any cake, it's carrot cake. And just like a little bit of carrot there on top of the cake with a nice icing and a good sized slice of cake. This would be good for somebody's birthday if you didn't want to get too fancy. And I know what this tastes like. I know what this tastes like because I've had it before, and it is delicious. So I'm going to dig in here, and it is hot outside, and we have a possibility today of severe weather, but not likely. Carrot cake is delicious. 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 Anything that tastes this good has to be good for you somewhere. And my health seems to be pretty good, even though I walk slowly. The blood pressure is good, and for my age, the fact that I'm above the surface of the earth is a good sign. Carrot cake is good. Thank you for coming over, stopping by, and telling me all your stories.
I hope you are doing well. Hope you are enjoying everything there is to enjoy. And I thank you very much for watching.